Ready? All meeting order. Let's go.
Good evening. Welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners Meeting. This is a public meeting that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QAC TV7. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and review our scheduled public meetings. In addition to our live audience this evening, we are providing remote options for citizens to watch and participate in county commissioner meetings. Citizens may watch our meetings live on our Queen Anne's County website at www.qac.org/live or on our television channel, it's Breeze Line Channel 7 and High Definition Channel 507. Citizens may also participate by joining the live Zoom meeting by going to www.qac.org/public comment. Citizens may also email comments to publiccomment@qac.org. Comments received will be read during the press and public comment period on this evening's agenda. We acknowledge everyone's participation, and by attending, you acknowledge that this session is both recorded and aired. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you care to speak, please sign the sheet on the information table in our lobby, and comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing to the commissioners for their review. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Chris Corcorano.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could please remain standing a moment for Pennsylvania State Troopers Martin Mack and Brandon Siska. Thank you.
Okay, first up, we have the approval of this evening's agenda. So our agenda for tonight's meeting, March 22nd, along with the regular minutes from our March 8th meeting, have been circulated for review. Do we have any additions and or corrections?
Yeah, motion to add 2 additional action items to tonight's agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended and the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. So we just completed a closed session under General Provisions Article Section 3-305B1 to discuss boards and commissions. And I believe we made a few decisions on that. So first up was the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
I move to reappoint Terry Morris from District 4 and Nathan Hoxter from District 1 to fill the vacancies on the Bicycle and Pedestrians Advisory Committee. These terms will expire on February 28, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Next up is the Broadband Advisory Committee.
I move to reappoint Dion Reed and appoint Joe Brown to fill the vacancies on the Broadband Advisory Council. These terms will expire on March 31st of 2025.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. And item C is the appointment for the Ethics Commission.
I move to appoint Robin Lanham to fill the vacancy on the Ethics Commission. This term will expire on December 31st of 2025.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. And the last item we had is a letter of endorsement for Mr. Chris Garvey to serve on the Board of Trustees for Chesapeake College. That's a letter to the governor, so that was a recommendation we received from Dr. Coppersmith, the president of the college.
I move to reappoint Chris Garvey to the Board of Chesapeake College.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. That takes care of all of our boards and commissions business. We can now move into presentations. So first up, we have Ms. Linda Steiner our Bay Bridge Airport Manager, and I believe she has a presentation here of our runway reconstruction bids. And so Linda, come on up and introduce your guest here this evening. Oh, yeah, we did skip that.
And that's what the two guys on the front row are about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Press and public comment, yeah.
Yeah. Hang on a second.
Just a second.
Yeah.
We're going to rewind a little bit real quick. Got ahead of
My
ourselves.
apologies, I missed this one thing on the agenda. We do have a press and public comment period. Is there anybody here that wanted to speak?
Yeah.
Press and
We
public
do
comment?
have,
I told you, Todd, there's no
We have
press and
press
public
and
comment. You can just skip right over it.
Nobody signed up?
that's,
We're good?
We're good.
See, you knew it. You knew it.
Okay, my apologies for that misstep there, Commissioners. We have, as I mentioned, Ms. Linda Steiner, Bay Bridge Airport Manager, Airport Reconstruction Bids. So Linda, take it away.
So I have with me here today Derek Hollander from AECom. He is our project engineer.
From where?
AECom,
Okay.
and he is our project engineer / manager. So he's going to give you a brief overview of the project, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you, Commissioners. As Linda said, my name's Derek Hollinger with AECom. I'm representing your on-call aviation engineering consultant. To give a brief overview of this project, we're discussing the Runway 1129 reconstruction project at Bay Bridge Airport. Going back a couple years, we actually Legacy URS, who's been your on-call consultant since the airport was actually originally built. So several years ago, we looked into, with the assistance of the FAA, a geotechnical evaluation of the runway, looking at the existing condition, borings, took many borings cores, and looked at the overall pavement section and remaining life on the runway. With that, we then basically did a conceptual study through the FAA in order to determine what sort of project the county would like to proceed with. We actually came to find that the runway pavement is existing asphalt right over top of dredge spoils right out of the bay. So with that, the runway pavement was actually sinking on the bay side. So the project ultimately was recommended to include cement-treated, stabilized base section. So with that, the project that was then proceeded to design includes the full-depth reclamation, incorporating a cement-treated cement into the existing base section, reclaiming the asphalt with the existing subgrade underneath of it, and then constructing a new aggregate base course atop of that existing section, and then a new bituminous concrete asphalt surface course. Additionally, with the project, because with doing a full depth reclamation, we're raising the runway profile by approximately a foot, restoring the original cross sections adjacent to bay, which includes safety area, grading improvements and mass earthworks surrounding the runway, drainage improvements under each of the connector taxiways to the runway, which include new concrete pipe crossings, new drainage, basically a full new drainage system adjacent to the runway. Also, an installation of a full underdrain system. The project then, after the paving's complete, will remark the runway pavement. So aside from the civil elements of the project, it also includes basically a brand new airfield lighting system. With that, we'll be removing the existing runway 1129 edge lights, associated wiring, installing new LED runway edge lighting. Similarly, removing the existing taxiway edge lighting system, installing new LED taxiway lights, removing the precision approach path indicators, installing new LED PAPIs. Similarly, removing the existing runway end identifier lights and installing new LED runway identifier lights, new wing cones, and then also additionally new holding position and guidance signs for the airport. With that, we're removing the existing, much of the cable in the airport's very old, so we're removing its direct buried cable, installing a new water, salt, corrosion-resistant cable in conduit, and then a brand-new electrical equipment vault shelter, so everything will be powered from a current-driven electrical system as opposed to the existing antiquated voltage-driven system that exists today. Additionally, with the new airfield electrical vault, the project does include a new emergency backup generator and a liquid propane natural gas fuel capable dual fuel system to support that generator. So the project was designed over the past year. We then put the project out to bid in February, and then open bids March 10th of this year. 3 bids were received: Atlantic Contracting and Materials, David A. Bramble, and Alan Myers. Of the 3 bids, all were deemed responsive, responsible, qualified. Alan Myers was the low bidder by approximately 2.8% as compared to Bramble, who was the next low bidder. Both were within 1% of the engineer's estimate. The third contractor had a higher bid, but they do not self-perform the asphalt paving, so kind of made sense for why their price was a little higher. So I believe the intention of why we're here is to basically proceed with the low bid and submit the corresponding FAA grant application, which is due to the FAA by April 11th. Once the grant's received, which they'll typically put out before the end of their federal fiscal year, so that would be September of this year, we would then look for assist the county to execute a contract with the contractor, start administrative startup, and then construction is anticipated to start with some of the enabling work, be it the new electrical vault in January, with the full reconstruction expected to happen next spring for completion before June for the major work. There's then a subsequent phase of work for the taxiway lighting, the generator, and which would then be in the fall of 2023. So basically all work in calendar year 2023. It's my brief overview.
Question for you, sir, right off. How much of the runway is actually overspoil? I mean, obviously the whole length of it wasn't. How far up do you have to go milling? And do you do the same underlay the whole length of the runway, or do you just have to do that down at the swamp?
So the approximately 2/3 to directly answer your question is on what we classified as a frost grade 4 susceptible soil. The end next to Route 8 is in better shape, so to speak, but we are proposing the same means and methods for the whole project. The only difference will result in the amount of water that goes into the cement treated section. But basically what will happen, the existing runway will mill off the top section of it such that when we'll then reclaim what's left of the runway, which will be about 4 to 6 inches of asphalt, into the bottom 6 inches of sandy subgrade and mix the section. That'll be done on the whole runway pavement. After that's done, we'll then incorporate the cement, water, and construct the soil cement section with the reclaimed section so the same section throughout the entirety of the existing runway.
Wow. That's the expensive way to do it. Great.
Anybody else have any other questions?
The 800-pound gorilla in the room, the airport will be closed?
Oh, yeah.
For how long?
The runway will be closed, the airport will be open.
The runway will be closed for 75 calendar days is how it was bid. There was liquidated damages put in place that would represent the impact of that to the airport if that were to continue.
Oh, really? But so for 75 days, there's no landing and taking off?
That is correct, but the businesses have already been informed, so they're making plans ahead of time.
That was going to be my next question.
So
How do you
reroute
tell
the plane
everybody
somewhere
that?
else that?
Well, for example, the maintenance and restorations and avionic shops, they're planning to take in major projects shortly before that runway closure so that they can work on them while planes can't fly in and out. We'll still have ground schools, community events, that sort of thing.
What was that timeline for shutting it down?
75 calendar days for the main phase.
Yeah, that's,
Complete by June 6th, so March through June. Part of the reason for it can be an expensive way for the cement stabilized section, but it does reduce the amount of risk on undercuts. We know what we're doing. We're able to quantify and really work with the contractor on their production rates to, set that duration and what the liquidated damages are. Every contractor that bid the project saw that in the bid documents, so they know exactly what they're getting into. Obviously, notwithstanding unforeseen conditions, that'll be the duration that's held.
so this is March of '23?
Yes, sir.
And we spoke with the businesses beforehand, and we tried to choose the timing that was least disruptive to them, but would also work for paving.
Right, because of the temperatures.
And it has to be done, right? So it's not like you have an option here.
Yeah, part of the original planning exercise, we looked at like a mill and overlay, which is obviously a quicker, but with the cost of doing that, and also given the lighting system, you end up with a project that's maybe 15% less money, and you're only saving 20-30% of the time. And given that much of this is being expected to be supported by federal funds, the county took the position to proceed with the bigger project, and then ideally, this shouldn't happen again. It would just be a mill and overlay, in the future, as opposed to a full depth reconstruction effort again.
I haven't raised it, whether we ought to be collecting full hangar rent on the hangars that don't have an airport for that 2 months.
Any other questions?
We need a motion?
I don't think, do we need a motion? Do we need a motion?
Yeah, we'd like a
Is this on there?
motion for them to proceed, yes. There is a motion.
My voice breaks.
There you go.
A second?
I made a motion to proceed with the.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I didn't have to say that number. I mean, I know that's the total price. It's A and MAA money.
All right, thank you both. All right, Commissioners, next we have Mr. Clay Washington is here this evening to
Do it right,
Present.
right?
the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you.
Say thank you, yeah, all right.
I'll make it simple for you.
Come on and bring your guest up if you like, sir.
Well, I'm gonna let her sit here. Okay. This is Reverend Alice Hutchins. She's one of our board members. And I'm here as the president of Kennard Alumni Association, the owners and partners, I will say, of the Kennard African American Heritage, Cultural Heritage Center here in Centerville. I don't know how you want to do this, but I'll read it.
Okay.
I'll make it very simple. Thank you for your continued support. Queen Anne's County Commissioners 2018 through 2022. Stephen K. Wilson, Philip L. Dumanel, James A. Moran, Jack N. Wilson, Jr., and Christopher Corcorano.
We're close enough. Don't worry.
And I can't be about Todd Moen, the county administrator, and I always got to say hi to Margie.
That's right.
Bill's Reese. Some of you were here when we started this project. I know Philip was, and Jack, I think you came on the next year.
Yeah,
Jim, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then the others of you have come on during the course of our restoration and now our operation. For those of you that don't know it, Kennard was the original African-American high school here in Queen Anne's County, and we were blessed to be able to start a project to restore it and create a community resource, in which we've been able to do, and I will tell you, we couldn't have done it without you.
Do you remember when you started the project?
It was 2007, the first time I sat here in this room.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it wouldn't have happened because we needed your help to match state funds that we got for the project. But even more important than that, you guys stayed on as partners, right through to the end and up till today. I can't tell you how grateful we are and have been for your help with this project. Because I think you saw the vision as well as we did to create something that will continually be used beyond our lifespan.
Right.
Okay? And I hope that this is just the start of our relationship, and it will continue for years to come. I don't know a time when I've come before you and asked for your help that you didn't. And I'm reminded even this past year when we had a problem in our basement and the water was coming in and I didn't know what to do. The only thing I knew was to find somebody who had the expertise to stop it. But you guys stepped in, okay, and you found a way to help me without going through that expense. So I'm really appreciative of the way you concentrate on what we need as well as what we want. Okay? And there's always going to be want. We're a nonprofit. I want to stress that word. But I will tell you, even over this past 2 years, where most businesses have been shut down, we've been able to sustain and grow in the midst of it. We now have met our mission of having a county resource that's available to youth and seniors. We now have senior adult classes at Kennard. We have a youth mentoring class at Kennard that was helped by the local management board. And we partnered for other things that are going on with the state of Maryland. We have an office there for the State Department of Education that helps to sustain us. And we're at the point now where we're able to hopefully move forward and find some new ways to produce resources to keep us going. The last thing I ever wanted to do when we started this project was to make a pretty building that just sat there. But I will tell you that the things that are going on now, through your help and through the partnerships we've created over the past 15 years now, it's been, okay, are incredible. So we just want to say once again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank
All right?
Thank you.
You guys have done an outstanding job with that museum, and I encourage anybody who has not gone in there and walked through it and seen it. The history is amazing. The photographs, all the information and data that was researched. You guys have just done a fantastic job.
And a great venue for a lot of community events as well.
But that's what I want to let you know, that we're continuing that process all the time. Even when we were shut down, we managed to put together a video series highlighting what's called local African American heroes. And it was so well received that I'm doing it again this year. I'm not sure we'll ever go live again because we've learned a new way to communicate in this country because of this pandemic. And I'm a man of faith, by the way. And I will tell you, it says all things work for good for those who love him and are called to his purposes. Okay, and even in this pandemic, he found a way to help us create something that's going to be standing forever. Amen.
Very good. Very
Sure,
good.
you want to get a picture? Get a picture.
You give it to your girl.
Give it to the boss.
There you go.
Get a picture. Yeah.
Mr. Washington, thank you
Hold on.
very much.
We're gonna come down here.
Clay, let's get a picture.
Get my phone, I'll get a picture also.
Yeah, that's all right. That's right. Yes.
We'll figure it out. Who's got Chris? Can we all put it in here? Oh, can somebody take my phone?
Do you want me to do that or do you want me to just email it to you? I can email you the pictures.
Yep, Kennard Alumni Association, gmail.com.
Oh, I don't hear you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I tried to. He told me to sit down.
Perfect. Good. Thanks very much. Commissioners, our next item is also in tab number 6 there. It is item number 3, and this is resolution number 22-02, creation of the Police Accountability Board and the Administrative Charging Committee. And we have County Attorney Patrick Thompson, Sheriff Gary Hoffman, and our State's Attorney Lance Richardson. If you guys wouldn't mind coming up to the bench here, please. And so essentially, this is a new resolution that's serves to create the Police Accountability and Administrative Charging Committee boards, and this is as a result of the recent legislation in this past general session to create this board in every jurisdiction. So the governing body of every county has to set up this new system by July 1st of this year, and this is the resolution that we prepared and consistent with that law for your review, consideration, and we can ask these gentlemen to answer any questions that you may have, or maybe Patrick. He was the chief drafter of this, and we had both Sheriff Hoffman and Lance Richardson review this, and we felt that it would be best to set up these boards and house them, or sort of have Lance's office do the provide the legal and administrative support to these newly created boards.
So if you guys could just give the public the background why we're here doing this and where it came from.
A little bit about the legislation that came out of Annapolis that brought us here today.
I will try to remain politically correct with this. I think some jurisdictions needed police accountability, and some jurisdictions needed some structure on how they handled some things. So I think that the answer, in my opinion, was that they went ahead and did a blanket approach across the state to address all police departments in one flat way by creating police accountability boards and things. I think that they should have held those jurisdictions accountable in those jurisdictions that had the issues, and it should not have been bled across the state. But here we are today. We're complying with what's required of us to do so, and we've come together, spent countless hours about police accountability. The good thing I can say from the Office of the Sheriff's point of perspective of this is that we get very few, if any, complaints against personnel. So I don't think this is going to be a very laborsome job for anybody, like it would be in other jurisdictions. So I'm very proud of that, and proud of the men and women that serve this county for the great work that they do. So I think the workload will be very light, and I appreciate the partnership with all of you as we go forward with what legislation has made us do. And the partners now, Lance bringing him on board now, and Pat working diligently to fine-tune this ordinance, as well as Todd Mon and the countless hours they've put in. So that's where we are.
Sheriff, real quick, can you say, we know the Sheriff's Department falls under this. Is there any other police agencies in the county that are affected by this?
We don't know yet. We're still waiting on some clarification from...
Well, I think Centerville clearly falls under it. And in my opinion, the state police and transportation authority fall under the state board, but
So now
basically,
Patrick, will Centerville have to have their own individual board because they're a municipality, or they'll answer under the function of this commission?
yes.
Okay.
So there's only going to be 23, 24 boards total in the state, right? Baltimore City
24.
having its own.
23 counties
23
and
counties.
Baltimore City.
Baltimore City.
Correct. Has this table always been this close?
No,
This
during
is
COVID, it was back
post-pandemic.
a little bit. Nervous, are we?
We wanted to get a good look at you,
Wait
Lance,
a minute,
during this.
that's right, you're usually on this side.
It's a bit intimidating.
So all the state agencies have a state board, DNR, the highway guys down there, whatever it is, they're all gonna be under
There's a state police accountability board.
Okay.
One board, not a board for each one of, not a
One
board.
board for all state.
Right.
So the State Police
Statewide law
Accountability Board will monitor the
Although
state
these
police.
all have three parts, correct? Yes.
They have the Accountability Board, and then they have the Charging Committee Board as well.
Isn't there a third?
The trial board. There is a trial board if it
But out
goes.
for
Three,
There's 3, yeah, the trial
three
board.
boards, there's accountability board, charging committee, and then if it gets that far, there's a trial board that actually hears and decides the case.
Sounds like a lot of
So,
bureaucracy.
so say we have a cross-jurisdictional incident. How do they decide which accountability board and which county would take care of that. Because we obviously have officers that live out of the county, and we have officers that work in other jurisdictions.
I'm sure one board can agree to review the case.
But do you think it'll be where the incident takes place, or would it be at the, say, the home officer's county?
Where the incident took place would be the venue.
Several counties have had this where it's gone across county lines into another person's jurisdiction, so.
I don't think this is gonna be onerous at all for our county. The police all wear
Great.
body cameras, we have footage, we don't have many complaints at all. We're legislatively mandated to have this committee, but I think it'll be easy for this county. We don't have very few issues with our police, so it should be light lifting for our commission.
And I think our citizens know this is not something that was forced by the county commissioners to do. This was not something at all forced by the sheriffs to do. This was something that was forced by our legislators that passed and went into law. So, you know, we're trying to be.
So walking through the process, and I just want, and playing devil's advocate, I just see, I know, Lance, we don't have any complaints now, but now you have something, you're creating an avenue to make complaints. What does a complaint have to rise to what level to even make its way through this system? Because again, you don't want to be inundated. I know we don't have that issue now, but we also don't want to have 100 complaints because there's a complaint board to complain to.
I can make it an analogy to the Attorney Grievance Commission. There's many frivolous complaints against attorneys, and they review them all, frivolous or not, and they open a zero file, and they review it to the point where they say this has some substance or it doesn't. So I imagine we will review complaints, and if we believe it has some substance, it'll go before the commission. But you're right, it may generate complaints just because we have such a board. But once again, with body camera footage and civilians in this county who actually participate in the process and come forward, and they're good witnesses, I don't see a problem for Queen Anne's County.
But everyone will be, to some level, will be investigated.
Yes, if there's a complaint made, it'll be followed up. We'll look into it and decide if it has any merit for the commission to review.
And just to add to that a little bit, it goes to the law enforcement agency. The complaint is made to the law enforcement agency. They review it and make an investigation and send it to the charging committee. Charging committee then decides whether to send it to a trial board.
So it actually is reviewed twice before it even gets to the
Correct.
charging board. Okay.
One other question is, plainly from your own remarks, the body cameras are highly significant in this process. Are all the bodies considered, like the Centerville Police and on the state level, the state police, do they all have body cameras?
Centerville Police does, Sheriff's Office does, state police are going to have them soon.
Okay.
They have some in-car cameras which pretty much perform the same function, but everyone's mandated to go to body cameras.
Right.
So every conversation, every action is going to be audio and video recorded.
Right. How about DNR and the,
All sworn law enforcement will go to it.
And that's actually in the legislature now, I think, and how to pay for it, the state's going to foot the bill to, but the information side is where the question still comes.
And we've always been transparent. We've had body cams or in-car cams for as long as I've been there, you know. So it's important part of the process. And there is a difference, I'm sorry, Lance, between the internal complaints and external complaints. So, for example, if a sergeant reviews something and sees something that's disciplinary, that's not something that gets referred to the board. So this is dealing with the public's concerns.
My office is going to provide the logistical side of it. We'll download, we'll provide the body camera for the commission to review. We'll host the meetings, give them a conference room. So we'll take care of that side of it, because it's labor intensive to download. If 7 officers show up on a scene, you've got 7 sets of body camera footage, so it can be labor intensive, but my staff is very adept at getting that done,
So back to my the cross department thing, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So you have, like here, sometimes we have the CPD, the sheriff, and even the state police to some extent, or the Mdot may be on an incident based on the incident, bad accident, whatever the case may be. That information, and I know in past that I've heard, it's very tough, they don't share that information between agencies very well, you know, state down to county, back and forth or whatever. Do you see that being a problem when you go to do this, is how are we gonna get over that hurdle that already exists with getting the information shared, I guess? If
They
you
can,
have-
the officers can be called in as witnesses by the board, so I think there's gonna be a lot more. I think
Okay.
they'll be compelled to testify or compelled to be there if needed. But I do agree with Lance Richardson on the fact that the body cameras are a real big asset. That tells you the picture. And like he said, when you have 7 different people show up at a scene, you have 7 different views and perceptions of what happened there. So body cameras are the best thing that ever happened. I'm a huge fan of them, and they always tell the truth. And
These agencies
So
may
is
not share information, but they all have to give it to my office, so we will have
Okay.
it. Yes,
Yeah, so,
we get it all.
So with all that, with all that scene information available, photographs and testimonies, it first comes to the law enforcement agency, so you guys can take a look at it. It may even never even come to the charging board.
well, we're gonna have to forward it to the charging board to make the final, whether it's sustained.
They'll have
or
the final say
unsustained.
whether to proceed forward. Okay.
Perfect.
Any other questions, Commissioners?
Any?
I want to thank these gentlemen for their work on this. So the next step is, if you're comfortable with resolution, the way it's prepared, 2202, we would adopt that, and then we could begin the advertisement process to select members. We would be back in front of you to select members that would serve on this Police Accountability Board, and they have to meet certain qualifications as well in terms of their background for that board. We're looking for anywhere between 3 and 7 members on that board as the next step.
so I move to adopt Resolution 2202.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thanks for doing a great job on this, you know, burdensome legislation, but you guys really stepped up and did the best you could with it, so that's great.
And real
Thanks,
quick,
Todd Mon, Pat Thompson.
are all the questions answered now, Gary? I know there's,
No, gosh, no.
okay,
not at
I
all.
mean, I just
No,
know
no.
that that's been a constant
No.
debate. I hear it down in Annapolis, so I'm just wondering, did they really get it all fixed, or is it just
No,
still?
I'm really holding my tongue tonight.
Okay.
Just being,
Well, I wasn't going to ask
No,
the hard
it's
questions. I wasn't going to ask those because, again, I haven't heard where there's been any resolution, so I was just curious if you've heard any differently.
no, it's, the Attorney General's office is sending out some clarifications on some things that have happened. I mean, many jurisdictions have gone through a lot of different things where they handle some things, they don't handle some things, they pick this, they pick that. I've got countless letters from sheriffs and other people that have had experience with this process, and it's gonna be interesting, so. Just gonna
Okay.
leave it at that.
I'm good with leaving it at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
A little bit.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, all right, Commissioners, our next presenter is Nicole Hepfer, our Director of Budget and Finance, and she has our fiscal 2023 proposed county administrator's budget presentation. So that is, again, tab number 6. There is a hard copy in your book, item 4 on page 29, and we also have it up on the big screen as well. So she has a series of slides here to run through to give you the highlights of next year's proposed budget, and we have work sessions then scheduled over the next 2 weeks to make any refinements and adjustments that the Board of Commissioners would like to incorporate. So, Nicole?
Okay, good evening. So we have the county administrator's budget that we're going to go through. And just to start, the budget process really started in October with our initial meeting with the Spending Affordability Committee. And then we sent out budget instructions to the departments in November and December. And we gathered data through February, and then we met with some departments over the last few weeks. So we've come a long way, and now we have the county administrator's budget to go through. Okay, so the first slide, which is similar to last year, to just kind of go through some of the financial impacts from COVID. We know the last several budgets were reduced substantially due to the pandemic and some uncertainties. Even in FY22, although there was growth, there was conservative budget growth. And we still remain conservative in the budget process throughout the last few years. Although we've noted the income tax distributions continue to show large growth, the recordation and transfer taxes also came in much higher than budget. And throughout all of this, we have not needed to use any funds from the rainy day or revenue stabilization funds. And we've received $8.9 million in CARES funding, and the American Rescue Plan, the ARPA funds, the county will receive $9.8 million, which we've received half, and will receive the second half in July. Okay. And then some updates for FY22. The preliminary projections show that we will end up at about 9.3% over the adopted budget, which ends up being about $14 million. And the income tax is estimated at 11% above budget, recordation and transfer tax at 50% higher than the budgeted amounts. And on the expenditure side, we did increase the expenditures for the mid-year salary adjustment. We also funded the Board of Ed stipend at $1.1 million. And included in the FY22 budget is $2.1 million for PAYGO for capital projects. Okay, and then the next two slides go over the highlights for FY23. The first slide goes over the revenue, and the budget growth we're projecting is 9.9% increase from the 155.9 in FY22 to 171.4 in FY23. The income tax and property tax make up roughly 85% of the county's revenue sources, and the income tax is projected to grow by 12% from the FY22 budget. Property tax is projected to grow at 4.2%, and there are no changes in the tax rates. Okay, and then this slide goes over the highlights as far as the expenditures. So the Board of Education, you'll see, and later in some of the slides, that it's funded at the preliminary amount that we received for maintenance of effort, which is $340,000. We do have some included in the enhancement slide, some of the other figures that were requested. The employee compensation increase includes a 2% cost of living adjustment and also additional pay for performance, which you'll see that is in contingency. And then we had new positions. I think there was 33 requested new positions, and the county administrator's budget includes 24 funded positions in a variety of departments: emergency services, detention center, public works, parks, public landings, QAC TV, roads, and economic development. And again, there's more details on that once we get to the enhancement slides. Also, as we mentioned with the compensation increase, there's funding for employee recruitment and retention. We funded PAYGO for capital projects at $5 million, which will help reduce the reliance on the bonds. Also, the addition of an EMS crew to provide enhanced services to South County, snow removal improvements, and also Kentner's landscaping. Okay, so now we get into, this slide goes over the revenue, the general fund revenue, which is the county administrator's budget is totaled at $171.4 million, which is roughly $15.5 million over the FY22 budget. But the FY23 budget figures are only about 1% over the forecasted FY22 amounts. And the largest increase is in the income tax at $7.6 million, which is 12%. And then you'll also see increases, some large increases in recordation and transfer tax, which recordation ends up being almost 40% and transfers at 45%. And those are in line with what we're continuing to see as the revenues come in. Okay, so this is the first of several pages on the expenditure side. And I just want to point out that any enhancements that we have funded through the county administrator budget is included at the department level. So that's why some of the percentage changes kind of vary, because it does depend on the enhancements. So we have, on the first page, we have county administration, community services, planning and zoning, and public safety. And then now on this page, we have the public works departments and parks and recreation. And we come up with a subtotal for the general county government, which was a 14% increase. Okay, this page we have Board of Education, which we're showing the $340,000, and also all of the other agencies. And then we have debt and then the other categories on this page to total the 171.4, which is again the 15.5% increase at 10%. So when you see contingency at the bottom, that does include any funding for the employee compensation, but all of the other enhancements are at the department level. Okay, so the next two slides are the pie charts. So we're showing the revenue by source, which again, the property and income tax is 85%. And then we have other local taxes at almost 10%. And then the rest of the smaller categories make up the difference. And then we have the expenses. So again, education is the largest expense at 37%. Then we have other agencies at 16%. And then the various public works, public safety, and the rest of them. To total the 171.4. And this slide is the tax rates by county, which we did update for FY22, and Queen Anne's County is there fourth to the right, highlighted in yellow. And then we have the, this chart shows the change, getting from the FY22 budget to the FY23 budget, both in revenue and expenditures. And the main change in revenue is the income tax, property tax, transfer and recordation tax. That almost makes up the total change completely with those. In expenditures, they kind of vary throughout the different categories, but again, the 15.5 million change here includes the enhancements as well. Okay, and now we have several slides on the enhancements. And the enhancements, the total for the enhancement request that we received was almost 8 million. And when we get to the last page, you'll see that the total funding included in this budget is 4.2, so it's roughly 53%. And anything in green is a position request, and it does include the cost of the salary and the benefits and the amounts that are presented. So the first page includes 4-H Park, Animal Services, and Board of Elections. And it shows which enhancements were funded in the county administrator's budget and then which were not at this point. Okay, and the second page, we have a lot of different departments here, the library, Chesapeake College. When we get to the Board of Ed, the 1.5 million is the 2.5%. And then we also have something new this year, the non-recurring cost, which is $550,000. So that was a change in some funding that we used to include in the capital budget, which based on state guidelines is not allowed at the Board of Ed level anymore. So the $550,000 was moved over, and it's part of a non-recurring cost. So that would not get added into maintenance of effort, but we are showing it here as an enhancement. Few requests for the health department and the sheriff, and also economic development. Okay, and now we have the parks department. There are several position requests, public landings. and Recreation, and also QAC TV had a position request, and then the FEC. And last on this page is Extension Services. Okay, so now I have DES has several categories. The first is the LEOPS estimate, and that was just based off of the positions that we thought would qualify, and just did a calculation to come up with an estimated amount for that. And then under DES, several of those under the second category relate to the new station. And when we show funding for those are funded at half year. So anything, the overtime for the new station, the holiday overtime, and then the last two, the 4 EMTs and paramedics, that's half year funding. And then we have communications, engineering, property management, and roads. Okay, and the last page of the enhancements, we have the detention center at the top. The last two positions for the correctional officers are both for pretrial services. We have the Kent Narrows landscaping, the circuit court, and that's for the drug court program. And there is grant applications pending for those funds. And then a small amount for the orphans court, and then contingency. It was really just some funds that we set aside, not knowing what requests are going to come in during the budget work sessions. So that's just money that we've set aside in other costs. And then you'll see the total is 7.9 million. The positions make up 1.7 million of that, and the total funded included in this budget is 4.2. The positions make up almost $1 million, and the rest is operating enhancements. Almost all of the enhancements are general fund. I think the only one that wasn't was the public landings request. Okay, so a lot of information on this page. This is the FY23 capital budget highlights, which the capital budget total was $46.6 million. That includes general capital, roads capital, and the enterprise funds. And just some of the highlights, if we want to go through, the Board of Education is almost $10 million for funding for the central office, the Queen Anne's County High School roof replacement, and also some work to be done at the central office and a fire alarm as well. The roads capital project at $3.3 million is funded entirely with roads capital fund balance and some grant funds. Then we have the YMCA at 2.8, the historic courthouse at $2 million, and detention center at $1.8 million. Some other highlights: information technology, $1.4 million. Parks, $1.1 million for capital equipment, artificial turf, and landscaping. Emergency services at $600,000, and also the volunteer fire at $600,000. And then we included funding for the dog park. And then the rest are enterprise capital projects. So the Southern Ken Island Sewer is at $7.3 million. Public landings, 1.8, which is all grant funded. The airport runway rehabilitation, $7.8 million, which 5.8 of that is grant funded. And then there's another 1.6 million, which is set aside for that. And then also the golf course at 500,000. Okay, so the next 6 slides are the 6-year capital budget. And we're still gathering some information for the out years. So some, like when you get to some of the departments, we don't have as much filled in as the out years, but we tried to make it as complete as possible. It's really just for information purposes and for reference. But if we want to go through, whoops, I didn't change it. There we go. If we want to go through some of the projects to kind of highlight. So on this slide, we have the historic courthouse. Total for the 6 years is $6 million. On the second slide for the 6-year capital budget, we have the detention center, and that is at 39.7. And then this slide, this has the last category is the Board of Ed projects, which for all years totaled 36 million. Next, we have parks at the top, which has the cross-county trail at 5.4, and then the turf is in here also at 5.6. And then we have a total for the general capital projects for the 6 years at almost 150 million. And then we have the airport and roads projects. We have the runway, and then in roads we have asphalt and the Kent Narrows public parking, some of the 2 larger projects. And this is the last page for the 6-year budget. So we have the ski projects included in sewer, and then we also underwater have the residential meter replacement, which is a large project. And the total at the bottom there for all capital projects, the enterprise and general, is 233.4. All right, and now the next several slides are the FY23 capital budget by funding source. So we'll go through again. We have the courthouse listed here under administration. We have the detention center at $1,785,000 on this page. And then we have a variety of departments on the 3rd page for the 23 funding. And then we get to, here we have the Board of Ed projects at the top, which we're showing the admin building at $3 million, and the Queen Anne's High School roof replacement at almost $5 million. So those are the 2 large Board of Ed projects for 23. And then we have some parks projects. So the total general capital FY23 capital budget is 25.5. You'll see here that we're using almost $9 million in capital fund balance from general capital projects and $5 million in pay-go. Okay, and then we have the enterprise, public landings and airport. In the airport, again, the funding is between grants and the funds that have been set aside, and then $420,000 is included in bonds for that project. And then the roads at $3.3 million is almost entirely funded with roads capital fund balance. And this is the last page that we have for the capital budget. And the total, we have the sewer at the top, which the ski projects, it's a little over $7 million. And then the water projects underneath, and the total for all capital projects for FY23 is 46.6. And you'll see the first category is pay-go, that's the $5 million. The bonds we've kept at below $9 million, which will be less than the amount that we're maturing next year. So that's always good. Then the debt would decrease with the amount that we have listed here for bonds. Fund balance 11.6, that's a combination of the general capital, roads capital, and any kind of enterprise fund balance. And then the other category, 10 million, which a lot of that is the ski funding. And the last slide that we have is just some upcoming dates. We have work sessions the next 2 weeks, March 29th, 31st, and April 5th and 7th. And also May 10th. And in discussion, we're thinking that April 7th may not be needed. I know there's another meeting at Chesapeake that evening, but we do have departments that are planned to come in for the other 3, and then May 10th will be kind of our last work session. The County Commissioner's budget release is scheduled for April 14th. The hearings are May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and the final budget adoption is May 24th. And that's it.
So, in about 20 minutes, you managed to knock off about 1,000 hours of your work, so really well done.
Oh, thank you. I probably talked a little too fast, but.
Oh, right pace. That was Excellent.
Any questions?
Oh, we got a couple weeks for this.
Yeah, yeah. We're going to go home and
This is your
devise
shot, so you told them let you do it now.
We got lots of notes.
In the next coming weeks, there will be.
I'm sure.
You've just handed us our homework assignment.
Right. And then we have our first
But
meeting
real
next
quick,
week.
just, because I couldn't see the numbers up there, but, so, if I heard you right, you said from 21, 22, we would have been, estimated we were way over. So we were at 168, I believe, was the number on that very first slide, whatever it was. So we rose to 171, so we really only rose year over year 3 million total, correct? Is that right?
You kind of lost me a little
So,
there.
well, because we had turned it down because of COVID. we-
Right, right.
Okay, but so the actual came out, I thought it was 168.
You want to know the forecasted FY '22 revenue versus the,
Right, because I think it was it 168 to 171, does that sound right? On that?
Yes, well, FY '21 actuals were 169,
Okay.
and then we're forecasting similar amounts for FY '22, and then budgeting 171 for FY '23.
Right, so we're only going up
Yes.
about 2 million over what was realistic a year
Yes.
ago.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was just making sure, but, and that's what, and you said it was like 1%, right, or just less?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah, we're talking about 3 fiscal years when you're talking about 21
I get it,
actuals,
that's what I'm
22
saying.
forecast, and then 23 is the budget, so it gets a little
But
confusing
my one
sometimes.
comment, and I guess if, when you come back to tell me how we're gonna jump 4 million in spending on a 1% increase year over year, that would be my only question to try and, don't do it now because
Okay.
there's other, because you don't have the Board of Ed money in there, and we
Right,
all know that
right.
that's gonna be
That's
put in
still
there.
pending, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I just,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right.
So I think a remarkable fact is that if you look back 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, income was 20, 30, 40%. And we are just about to have income be the bigger portion of our revenue because it's, you know,
But it's also the most volatile.
what's that?
It's also the most volatile.
Absolutely. And so we have correctly put reserves aside to deal with that. But it does increase the vol, absolutely.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Nicole. No other questions, commissioners? All right, well, to be continued, we have our first work session is next Tuesday night in this room, and I believe we have Board of Education, Emergency Services, and the library coming in for that one. All right. All right, well, that concludes our presentations for this evening, commissioners. We can take a look at new business. That would be tab number 3. And so if you want to turn to tab 3, item 1. So tab 3, item 1 is a memorandum from Alan Quimby from the sanitary, this is to the Sanitary Commission, so I guess we need to convene as the Sanitary Commission, please.
Make a motion to convene as the Sanitary Commission.
Second.
Favor? There we go.
Thank you, Commissioners. So basically, this is an annual action that the Commissioners, as the Sanitary Commission, must take as a result of the rate increase for the water and sewer rates. They go up automatically 6.5% and 5.5% for sewer and water respectively, unless the county commissioners choose a lesser rate for that escalation. And this also excludes the ski sub-district, which will see no rate increase. We guaranteed that as part of the special benefit assessment. No rate increases for the ski corridor until all 4 phases are complete. So we're in phase 2.5 right now.
Does Nicole handle their books too?
Yes,
She does.
yes.
Come on back up. Yeah.
And I will say that Public Works, or Director Quimby did propose a 2.5% increase for water and sewer rates as part of this next year's budget. So that would be our
Which
recommendation.
is basically which we do every year.
Pretty much we've been doing that every year for the last,
Is that what's in the enterprise zone fund that you showed the revenue on, 2.5?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I guess my question is, are they in the red or are they in the black? Are they?
Sanitary district?
Yeah, are they healthy, or are they not healthy? I mean,
They're healthy.
they are healthy, so why do we need an increase at all then?
Thank you.
I'm just saying. if we're
Since
not
I'm
gonna
the
do it
only
for
user
Southern
up
California,
here of
And I
the-
don't know how healthy they are, but if you say they're healthy, I mean, it's an enterprise fund. They're not supposed to be banking money. I mean, I'm go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay. So I don't think that's an easy question to answer because it really involves the depreciation of the infrastructure. Is that not correct? I mean, you'd have to
It does.
know what was getting backed up in terms of what we needed to do. But money-wise, it's extremely black. But weighing that, you need to first look at, you know what I'm talking about.
I do, and I understand
And
100% what
if
you're
you-
talking
If you weigh those two things together,
But I guess, and I don't disagree with you, and I understand
Yes.
that we
Yeah.
put those eggs away for that day, we're gonna need them, but
yeah.
we're talking about the massive amount of inflation, and again, here we are giving our employees 2 bumps.
Yeah.
And we're asking to raise rates while we're healthy. I think that maybe we take a year off, just once. I mean, I don't want to put anybody on the spot here, but, I mean, you know, we're talking about record inflation and everything else, and you know, maybe this is something to maybe ease the pain a little bit.
I would second it.
I'm good with it.
And
I'm gonna go for no increases on water or sewer.
I think I understand the numbers, and I
Yeah.
think that's a good idea.
Okay.
This is crazy. I was thinking about this the other day, thinking,
As you were flushing your toilet?
as a flush, mind you, I'm the only one up here that actually has a county sewer water bill.
Right.
So I'll start it.
There you go.
Just vote for it at this point. You're good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you made a motion, Jim?
Yes,
Jim made
to hold the
motions.
water and sewer at no increase.
Steve seconded. Any further discussion? Bill told us about his thought process.
He shouldn't vote.
I may have to recuse myself, right?
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
One abstain.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm voting. Yeah.
No, he's not.
Thanks.
I take him back out again.
It's a conflict of interest.
It's a conflict. And to all the users out there, I'm sure they're going, yes.
That's right, okay. All right,
Thank
Commissioners.
you, Commissioner Moran.
We all voted on it, so.
That's right, okay. All right, moving on, Commissioners, we have item number 2 on page 2, and this is the annual Mdot Tour Consolidated Transportation Plan Priority Letter, and this goes to Secretary Jim Ports, and this is very similar to the previous year's letter that we sent out each year about this time. The number one priority obviously has been our motive to expedite and continue processing the Bay Bridge NEPA 1 and NEPA 2 project going forward, and a list of other ones, including interchanges on Route 50 at the intersection at Chesapeake College on 50, Route 18 corridor improvements, and others. So if you have
I move to execute the 2022 annual MDOT Transportation Priority Letter to Secretary Jim Ports.
Okay, thank you.
Second,
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that one?
is there anything else we want to add? I figure the longer the list, the better chances of getting more, right? No?
More stuff for them to get on.
You got anything, you'd be lucky, but it might be a good idea. I don't know. Haven't not thought this through, so just for discussion. The real backup, I mean, the chances, they are plugging away at doing the gates and all that stuff up at the bridge. The corridor is not going to get done because of the expense of the lamp poles. Would it be a good idea to move the 5213 overpass up, jump it up?
They will never, well, I guess,
You see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, but I think that if the state was to put that there, it would mess with their metering. If they were to move that up, if we were to move that up and that were to go first before the bridge, not that I think any of it will, but I think it'll all happen at the same time. That's one of their major metering locations, the 213 lights.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got the 404 light too.
Right,
Disaster.
I think that 5301
I just, I
overpass
mean,
interchange comes after.
our guys are now getting backed up like hell, trying to get from 213 on 50. Sometimes you get 40 and 50 cars.
Oh, yeah.
So it may serve some advantage in metering traffic on 50, but it certainly is screwing up our county citizens trying to go to Easton.
Understood, but I think that those 50 cars are outweighed by those 5,000 cars that are lining up, flooding Route 18 in Stevensville and Graysonville, so.
Yeah, I don't want to get in an argument.
No,
like-
no, I mean, I'm happy to move it up. I don't think we'll get either without, they're gonna be done at the same time. I think.
Yeah.
the
Right,
corridor-
all part of one
I agree
comprehensive
with Jim
project.
on this. It's part of the corridor upgrade. It's gonna get melded into that anyway if
Right.
it happens, so.
Right.
I mean,
Any further discussion?
if anything, we should move up our hike and biking trails, because that's one thing maybe we could get.
Yeah, on the pedestrian side.
Because that way, when we're stuck in traffic in Kent Island, at least people can get on their bikes and ride to Centerville on the bike trail, right?
You're talking about the pedestrian crossover.
Well, getting it all the way to Centerville like it's designed to be.
Continue
from where
the
we
trail
ended up.
further.
Ride from where to where?
To Centerville, and then
To
from
Centerville to
Centerville,
Terrapin is
and then
the-
ultimately to Tuckahoe.
Tuckahoe, yeah. I mean, that's where it's supposed to go. That's the design.
Yeah.
And it did make a point that if we want to see any more movement on it, to move it up in our transportation plan. So, just a thought. It got a lot of use during COVID, that's for
it did.
sure.
It did, but if you do that, then they're gonna get owned by.
Never go ahead of the Bay Bridge,
They're gonna go on the
obviously.
bridge.
It's never going ahead of the Bay Bridge, but, yeah.
How they could throw us a bone and say, we'll do that for you.
Yeah, well, these aren't necessarily in order. I mean, clearly, the NEPA Phase 2 priority is of utmost importance, and the rest of these, in particular, the pedestrian projects, I think we can continue to advance those more so over some of these other higher dollar interchange projects, which are probably, $30-40 million on Route 50. So we are going to continue to
They're still
push for
waiting,
those.
right? I mean, technically, it's still getting weighted, and then it goes to the
Sure.
governor, right? And he still gets ultimate veto power, I think, on a lot of these. So,
Yep.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item number 3 on page 7 through 15 is an administrative subdivision, some legal documents for a perpetual protective agreement. It's an amended deed of forest conservation for the Coxon subdivision. Can I get a motion on that?
I move to sign a perpetual protective agreement, amended deed of forest conservation easement.
Second?
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Item 4 on pages 16 through 49 is a rural legacy deed of easement for Charles Patterson and Sherry Patterson. And you've seen this before, so this is all funded through the program, and this provides for the protection and that easement within the Foreman's Branch rural legacy area.
I make a motion to approve and sign the rural legacy deed of easement for Charles R. and Sherry A. Patterson IV.
Second.
Got a motion is second, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. And item 5 is a second rural legacy deed of easement. This one's for Benjamin Norbley Arminger, and this is a 98.56 acre property located within the Foreman's Branch rural legacy area. No county funds again for this one, for this preservation.
I make a motion to approve and sign the rural legacy deed of easement for Benjamin Norby Arminger.
Second.
Motion is second, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Item 6 on pages 82 and 83 is a semi-annual property tax payment service fee. The county tax collector is authorized to bill a service fee for the dual payment option, for the lost interest. And this year, like last year, we are recommending that fee be waived, not charged to our citizens that select that option. Yeah, excuse me.
I move to submit to the Department of Assessments and Taxation an approval form for the establishment of the county municipal service fees for semi-annual property tax payments, a service charge in the amount of 0%.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item number 7 on page 84 is a trailer surveillance systems contract. Department of Emergency Services received another grant. They've received a lot of grants. Grant program for $116,000 to purchase 4 trailer surveillance systems. We have Director Scott Haas here. He can maybe explain that a little bit, but we have received bids, and they want to recommend a contract. This is, again, no county funding involved in this, but
I move to authorize Director of the Department of Emergency Services to execute a contract with Industrial Video and Control Company, LLC, to purchase 4 trailer surveillance systems totaling $105,500.
second.
Got a motion and second. Tell us about this, Scott.
Sir?
So basically, we applied for 2 separate grants, so this is covered under 2 grants through Homeland Security. And the idea is, if you're familiar with state highways, on the camera trailers that they have, they're basically the exact same thing that they have, camera trailer-wise. There's a variety of uses that we can utilize this for. For our department, one of the main things that we have in mind is like special events, and probably the one primary special event that we use it as is the Bay Bridge Run. We have kind of an archaic way of doing video surveillance at those events now. This will make it very easy for us to trailer these pieces of equipment. Everything is 100% contained within the system. We're also going to use it, we don't have a traffic problem in the county right now, but somewhere down the road we might. Joke. But we'll definitely use it during the summertime for the traffic jams and the backups that we have, to surveil those incidents as they grow. Any kind of large crowd formation that we have in the county, we can use it for that. Other uses are like construction sites, like the courthouse. There was a lot of work done on the outside of it. DPW had people committed to coming over, kind of keeping an eye on what was going on construction-wise. This would make it very easy for them. They could set one of these things up and
watch remotely?
Watch remotely. Other things, I see Steve behind me. We've had some vandalisms in some of the parks, and it would be easy to set one of these up in an area that's highly vandalized to provide surveillance for those. So there's a magnitude of things that we can use them for. We're lucky we got a grant to cover for all 4 of these.
Well, let me compliment you on your grant application, sir.
Thank you.
Scott, are these subject to having to be advertised if video surveillance is in use, no matter where you use them, whether it's a special event or anything?
We're basically using them in areas where, like, privacy is not, you're not committed to provide the privacy. It's going to be in open areas. It's going to be basically at county events or county property. What
No
we're using
expectation
for.
of privacy in those
Yes.
locations.
That's what I was searching for.
Attaboy. Got a motion and a second, right?
We got a motion and second for Big Brother?
That's it. Hey, could we do that? Can we stencil Big Brother on there?
But we could
Facial.
put anything that you want on it.
You can put it on the back of your truck.
There are some legitimate uses to it, so we just jest. All in favor?
Set one up
Aye.
at Jim's house.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
I was opposing if you put Big Brother on it.
All right, 5-0,
I think
motion
we should
carries.
test the first one at Jim's house.
Bring it.
Bring it.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a good
All
evening.
right, thank you, Director Haas. Appreciate it.
Director Haas.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, moving on. Item number 8, on pages 85, 86, and 87, we have an updated lease agreement with the town of Queen Anne with our Department of Parks and Recreation to renew the expired lease for maintenance of the Roosevelt Park situated in the town of Queen Anne. We've been maintaining that park as part of our park system for over 20 years.
And we renew it for how long each time?
This one is through 2037. Yep.
Oh, 15 years, excuse me. 15 years. I move to sign the lease agreement with the town of Queen Anne regarding the maintenance of Roosevelt Park for the time period of March 1, 2022 through March 1, 2037.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
John, does this fall, it is in our Queen Anne portion, or Queen Anne's
Yeah.
County portion of it, correct?
Yeah, it's in Queen Anne's County.
Because I'm thinking of the firehouse, how we share that between the other
Yeah.
counties, and just curious. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item 9 beginning on page 88, is the Graysonville parking lot and trail paving contract. And this is a paving contract with David A. Bramble to pave the Graysonville parking lot and trail for $41,850.
I move to authorize the Department of Parks and Recreation to contract with David A. Bramble Incorporated to pave Graysonville parking lot and trail for $41,850.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion on that one?
I just have a question since Steve came here. We'll bring him up
Steve?
so his trip wasn't wasted.
Come on up.
When you say trail, is that what goes partially around Ewing Pond?
No, this is actually at Graysonville Park. It's the
Off
Leonard
of
Smith-
Perry's.
Leonard Smith Trail.
Okay.
That
Off of
is
Perry's.
adjacent to the tennis courts and the baseball field.
Okay.
It needs repair and has been, neglected through dirt and flooding and things like that. So that will bring it up. The trail will run from the parking lot all the way up to the top corner of the park, which will then be able to have the community access it from the backside of the park. So it'll be a nice back entrance into the park for bikers and walkers and runners.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have any more questions.
All in
Thanks.
favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Jim, you in favor?
Yeah.
5-0.
I think silence is consent.
Yes.
Got him.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Stay right there, Director Shanley. Item 10 is the Matapi Clubhouse exterior renovation and painting bid award. And this is, we solicited bids for the painting of the Matapi Clubhouse exterior. And we did receive only one bid, but it was a company, the same company that did our courthouse across the street here, that did a fine job there. So we're happy with that firm. They get a motion.
Just, they're gonna, the same color? Yes. We're not gonna have to power wash it and
We're gonna have
get
to
down to
power wash it.
the grit? We have to get
Nancy,
down to the brick?
Well, I'll-
We have to get down to the brick like we had
It's
to
not
do
going
it.
to expose any brick, right?
We're not gonna have this movement.
This is the goddess of the building. By the way, let me read this one because we need to get it in, right?
Go ahead.
I move to authorize Department of Parks and Recreation to contract with Zierfuss. Painting and restoration, the amount of $52,000, funding of $25,000 from MHAAA grant and $27,000 from Parks Preventative Maintenance Capital Project number 4215 for exterior restoration and painting of this historic Matapi Clubhouse building. Yes, ma'am.
Second.
This is the second time you painted it, isn't it?
It's actually the third, but it's the second, really all-inclusive of power washing, repair, and removal of any rotted wood, things like that.
Yeah.
So a more comprehensive
Very
round.
very comprehensive, yeah.
How's the roof?
The roof's in good shape. Gutters need some work, so that'll be part of it.
Yeah.
We'll be doing some, paying through parks, we'll be doing some maintenance ahead of the painting, some tree trimming and all, so that they can get into the building.
Yeah.
But there's a good deal of rotted wood, the lower part of the building. It's a wood structure from 1936, so.
And is that encompassed in this bid, the repair of the wood, or is that just painting?
No, the power washing, sanding, removal and repair of any rotted wood is encompassed
Okay.
in this, yeah.
Because that guy's a good guy.
He's a great guy, and MHAA has allowed us to, or they are allowing us to amend our grant ask, our budget, and they're seeing this across the board with most of the awards that were given, is that just, materials are
Oh, right.
unavailable, and
Yeah.
costs, particularly lumber and paint, have skyrocketed, and the availability is really tough. So totally unanticipated costs here.
Am I right in remembering about 20 years ago when we first did it, it was done by historic building grant?
This is a Maryland Heritage Area Authorities grant, which
Right.
gets funded through MHT. And when we originally did the building, there was a combination of POS money, it was mostly POS,
Yeah.
but there was some MHT money in there as well. So we do, and of course, the building does belong to the state, we're the leasee, so we're a steward of the building, so we're responsible to keep it in good condition.
I didn't know that. I didn't know the state on that.
We
When
lease,
does it revert back to the state? That was
we have a
determined.
40-year lease, yeah.
The building or, gosh, I'm not sure.
The 40-year lease, I think, was just renewed in the past few years, I believe, but I don't know the date offhand.
We can check
Yeah,
on
we
that,
can
if you
check.
like, just for curiosity.
Yeah.
That's the building and the grounds.
And the grounds.
The clubhouse and the beach grounds all belong to the state.
And the beach? Wow.
Well,
That either.
What's that?
We don't
Land-
own that beach.
Landward of mean high water.
No, we don't
Below
own
mean high
anything.
water is, yeah,
Our only certified swimming beach.
Yeah, I know, that's, so.
that's correct.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Perfect.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
very
Thank you.
much.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you
Thank
both.
you.
All right. All right, Commissioners, we had one desk item. That was number 11, I believe. We have a data backup system replacement, and this is a request to use a pre-established government contract from Fairfax County to replace our county IT department's current Veeam and Synology backup systems and some other aging hardware with a Cohesity backup solution. We have two systems we want to buy, one for the county government network and one for the DES network. Total cost $98,370.49. And we do have sufficient funds for that.
I move to approve the recommendation of county IT staff to replace the current aging backup system with the Cohesity backup solution from CDW-G on the Fairfax hardware and software contract for $98,370.49.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0, motion carries.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. That is all the action items we had this evening. We did have one informational item as a follow-up. If you want to look at, what is that, tab number 4, I believe, item 1, and that is from Stephanie Jones, our principal planner, and this was involving some responses to text amendment 21-04, the allowance for construction of utility-grade solar outside of a utility-grade solar array, and this is a citizen-sponsored text amendment, so do you have any questions about the responses? And Stephanie is here to answer any questions you may have, and we still need to
Introduce it.
introduce and schedule a public hearing at some point, yes.
Introduce it. All right, so the public understands, when we have the citizen-sponsored text amendments, we have to introduce them, we have to give them a hearing.
That's
That's
correct.
what's being done, this is part of the process.
All right. Any questions? That's it, we're good? All right.
That'll get scheduled at a later date?
Yeah, we'll schedule a hearing, it'll probably be late,
Late April?
it'll probably
Or late May.
Probably late May,
Yeah.
until we can get it on the agenda.
Got to get through the budget.
It's got to be advertised for 3 consecutive weeks in the newspaper, so we've got a few things ahead of it. But yeah, we will get that moving accordingly.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Commissioners.
Still on schedule for the comp plan at the next meeting or the meeting after that?
The comprehensive plan is scheduled for April 12th,
April
so that
12th.
is the next meeting. Yes. Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, that's all we have. We have press and public comments, part 2. We have anybody signed up or anybody logged in? All right. Roundtable, I guess.
We'll go straight to roundtable then. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first.
Commissioner Dumino.
Midshore Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off Day is Saturday, April 2nd, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., rain or shine, at Queen Anne's County Public Works Facility, which is addressed at 312 Safety Drive in Centerville. Can they go onto the county website and find out what items are acceptable? I mean, there's a whole
Yeah.
litany of,
Yeah.
whole litany of them on here. Oh, you did? Okay, even better. So anybody who is watching tonight, the chance to get rid of all those things that transfer stations and dumps won't take, things that you've had in your garage, you want to get rid of, oil, gasoline, paint, just those kinds of things like that. So take advantage of it. It really is a great program that DPW does that for us. And then other thing, I had an opportunity Saturday to attend the recognition and awards gala for our Queen Anne's County Sheriff's Office, which was a great event, and Commissioner Steve Wilson attended that with me, and it was nice to see the camaraderie of our law enforcement officers in Queen Anne's County and the great work that they do and the sacrifices they make and the support they get from their families. It was really a great event, and watching these law enforcement officers, men and women, receive their awards, it's comforting being a citizen here in Queen Anne's County, knowing we have, those folks that are made those commitments to protect us and watch over us. So kudos to them, and it was a great event that the Sheriff's Office put on. That's all I have.
All right. Commissioner Jack Wilson.
Sure. First, I want to say we got to cut the ribbon at the library expansion today, which was great turnout. Looks fantastic. Now they actually go on, I guess, to the harder part of the journey is to renovate the old part of the building, which is always the more difficult side of any job. And kudos, though, it came out fantastic. Their fundraising efforts have been above what was expected, so I think it's, all in all, it's turned out to be a great project all the way around. So thank you to everybody that worked on it, from DPW to the library staff to the citizens getting behind it. Fantastic. Pet peeve. So, I get it, people can be lazy, but I'm tired of seeing trash on our county roadways. And I've seen county citizens throwing trash out of their trucks, and to me, I pull them over. I actually do. I do my due diligence and pull them over the next time they stop to ask them, why did you throw that there? Why couldn't you wait till the next gas station that you filled your truck up in or whatever? So stop throwing trash on our roadways. If other people come through here and do it, that's one thing. But don't litter your own county. I mean, it's just sad, very sad. Tires on the side of the road just recently, literally not even 2 blocks from the dump. Go the extra 2 blocks, people. You live here. Be proud of it. On a lighter note, but on something that does concern me too, is it's come to my attention recently that some of our programs at the high school, the CTE-related programs, have fallen short on some materials to finish some of their projects out to graduate. So I have reached out to some citizens. I know Todd's working with our DPW to see what we can get donated over there, but I'd like to see in this budget we address this for once and for all. I know I go back 5 years ago when I think me and Jim were at Queen Anne's County High School to find out that the Board of Ed gave the carpentry department $1,500 to buy lumber. Do you know how much lumber that's going to buy today? A piece of plywood and a couple nails. So we've got to get behind this, gentlemen. We have this non-reoccurring cost availability now. I think we utilize it for the right things and good things. Let's get our welding students welding wire, gas they need to compete, get them some new welding machines. Some of them are 25 years old. Let's give our students the ability to move forward in some of these careers by giving them the right tools and stuff at our schools. It's ridiculous that we don't have that stuff. Kudos to Chesapeake College. They've upgraded every single welding machine. They've spent almost $300,000 revamping their entire welding program over there. So I think we need to step up to the plate here in Queen Anne's.
I agree. 100% behind you on that. Commissioner Steve Wilson.
Sir, well, in the next couple of weeks, we will have absolute adequate time to discuss funding everything that's.
So I'm bringing it up now. Preempted.
Yeah, absolutely. We're ready to go. So I think one note of benefit to the citizens, certainly of District 2, but I think the county is our creation of a dog park, which is going to benefit a lot of people in Centerville. And I think that's going to be a very nice addition to the park, and a number of people have thanked me, and I'd like to pass those gratitudes along to my fellows, and I think it's a good idea.
What park is that going in, Steve?
What, sir?
What park is that going in?
Oh, it's going in White Marsh Park.
There you go.
Yeah, right next to your house.
Close enough.
Yeah. Anyway, on we go. That's it for me.
All right, so, Jack, I'm gonna piggyback on your trash thing. I agree with you 100%. I don't really necessarily blame a majority of that on the county, but the through traffic, what blows out of trucks, I just spent the last 4 days in Phoenix visiting my son, and that's a huge city, and I'm telling you right now, I couldn't find trash anywhere. Anywhere in that city, on the highways, no matter where you went, I was awestruck, and I asked the concierge, what's the deal? He goes, everybody asks us that. So I don't know if it's a mindset, it's just, the way people live, but, the Eastern Seaboard is one big landfill. So, you know, it breaks my heart because, you know, it all ends up in the water. So, you know, kudos for bringing that up. I'd like to shout out to Sudlersville Middle School. The principal, Rob Watkins, this morning, myself, the Drug Free Coalition, the sheriff, and Lance went up to speak to the junior high kids about the do's and don'ts and the perils of vaping, smoking, drinking, marijuana, and drugs. And we've done this now to Matapi. We spoke there. Warren Wright is our little moderator. Warren brings us in, and we spoke to Matapi. We've spoken to Centerville Middle School, and now Sudlersville, and Stevensville Middle School is on our radar, but we can't get a response from them, but we're not going to stop trying. So I just want to thank the principal, Rob Watkins, for allowing us to come in there and take some time up and visit with all the students. And I left there and went to the Homes of Hope for Haven Ministry on Route 18 in Stevensville. The two houses, and Jack was there. And, you know, we had a little bit of a photo op. The homes are almost 95%, 99% complete. Sod went down today. Furniture's coming in a couple weeks at the latest. And just kudos to Krista Pettit and Brad Lundberg, Jack, you know, all the contractors that worked on these projects. These homes will be able to hold 5 different individuals from different families each, or more if it's like, for instance, a mother with some kids. So it's needed, it's there, it's under budget, and you know, they're moving along with that. So kudos to them on that. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, President.
And it replaced what was basically a vacant blighted property that was there. So it's really helps the downtown area a lot. On to the Drug Free Coalition, remind people that on March 27th, Sunday, there's the addiction meeting at Christ Church on Ken Island from 2 to 5 p.m. Find more information. We've done a couple of blasts about that for them. So thank you to all the organizers of that event, and hopefully people get out there. And then, as Jack said, get out to your new library. Check it out on Ken Island. It looks great. There's a lot of little reading nooks for little kids to get a book and curl up in and read a book. There's a room for teenagers to go sort of hang out in. There's private meeting space. It's really open, airy, fantastic. I'm looking forward to phase 2. With that, I'll obtain a motion to adjourn.